Hello, hello. Welcome to English Extras. My name is Jean. If you're here, it's because you don't want to sound like a textbook. You're in the right place. This podcast is to help intermediate and advanced learners find alternatives to textbook English so you can express yourself authentically. Let's begin. Weather is a fun topic because there's so much variety. There's a lot of freedom to be creative when you're talking about weather. For example, did you know a common idiom about rain uses cats and dogs? First, let's discuss how you can ask about the weather. Probably the most common and straightforward way is to ask, "How's the weather?" Notice the contraction happening here. Most people don't say how is, but instead say how's. How's the weather today? How's the weather in your area? Let's imagine you just woke up. It's early in the morning and you're ready to get dressed and go to work. You probably already know the general temperature, especially if it's the middle of summer or winter. But you want to know the highest or lowest temperature of the day. You can ask, "How hot will it get today?" How hot will it get today? Or, for winter, how cold will it get today? How cold will it get today? Maybe you want to ask someone from a different part of the world about general weather conditions in a particular season. For example, I live in South Florida, which is generally very hot. If I want to ask someone from Russia about the temperature during summer, I can ask, "How hot does it get in summer?" How hot does it get in summer? Or, because it's Russia, maybe I would ask, "How cold does it get in winter?" How cold does it get in winter? If I want to ask about specific weather conditions, I could ask something like this. Does it rain a lot there? Does it rain a lot there? Or perhaps, how often does it rain there? How often does it rain there? And rain can be substituted by any weather condition. Does it snow a lot there? Or how often does it storm? Now let's discuss different ways to answer these questions. If someone asks you, "What's the temperature?" What's the temperature? You probably want to give an exact number. There are different ways to do this. You can simply say the number like this. "What's the temperature today?" Oh, looks like it's going to be 25. Another way is to say degrees after the number, like this. Oh, looks like it's going to be 25 degrees. If you're talking to someone from America, where we use Fahrenheit, maybe you want to specify what number system you're using, in which case you can say Celsius or Fahrenheit after degrees, like this. Oh, looks like it's going to be 25 degrees Celsius today. Now that we know how to say the temperature, let's discuss hot weather. South Florida is one of the hottest places in America. So if it's the middle of summer, it's extremely hot. But instead of saying extremely hot, I might instead say it's boiling today, or it's blazing hot outside, or it's sizzling out there, or my favorite, it's scorching today. Boiling, blazing, sizzling, and scorching all mean that it's extremely hot. Now, in Florida, one of the reasons it feels so hot is because the humidity is often very high. So sometimes on sizzling summer days, when the humidity is especially high, it might be called muggy. Muggy. Muggy weather is the worst, in my opinion, because it feels as if you're swimming through hot air. Besides scorching, muggy weather, Florida also experiences a lot of rain. If it's raining a lot, we often say it's pouring. It's pouring. You can also say it's raining buckets. It's raining buckets. Or there's also, it's a downpour out there. It's a downpour out there. Of course, if you get caught in the rain, notice the word I used, caught. We often use the word caught when describing being outside in the rain. Then we have some words to describe how you will look if you are outside in the rain without an umbrella. If you're wet because of the rain, we say, I'm soaked. I'm soaked. Or I'm drenched. I'm drenched. Or even, I'm dripping wet. I'm dripping wet. All three of these mean the same thing. It started raining, you maybe didn't have an umbrella, and now every bit of you is wet. Probably the most common idiom people use to describe a lot of rain is, it's raining cats and dogs. It's raining cats and dogs. You may be wondering, why would anyone say it's raining cats and dogs? Well, according to the Library of Congress, no one knows for sure where this phrase came from. There are some theories. It could be from Norse mythology because Odin is the Norse god of storms and was often shown with cats and dogs. Or it's something totally different. So far, no one knows. One thing I do know is that it doesn't often get cold in South Florida, even in the heart of winter. Notice I said heart. You can say the heart of a season to say it is the middle of that season. But just because it isn't often cold doesn't mean Floridians don't have a lot of ways to complain about it. First, if the temperature is right in the middle, not too hot, not too cold, then a good word for this is mild. It's really mild today. Or looks like it'll be mild this weekend. But as the temperature begins to drop, we say it gets chilly. Chilly. Brr, it's chilly outside today. You would definitely want to think about a jacket for chilly weather, especially if it's windy as well. If the temperature drops further, then we'd typically say it's cold. But of course, most people complain about it, so you might hear something more like, oh my gosh, it's so cold today. Why is it so cold? Below cold, it starts to get freezing. Freezing. This word comes from the verb to freeze, which is when water becomes ice. So to say it's freezing means it is cold enough to turn water into its solid form. But hot and cold are what we call relative terms, which means that different people have different definitions of these words. For example, 15 degrees Celsius in Russia might be a wonderful spring temperature. However, 15 degrees Celsius in South Florida would make people say it's freezing today. And of course, for that intense, extreme cold, we can use the word icy. Icy. We would use this word especially if there is actual ice outside, such as on the road. You might hear someone talk about icy conditions, which means the streets will be dangerous to drive on because of the ice on the surface. You might also read the word icy in a book referring to the wind. An icy wind is definitely not something you want to feel when it's freezing outside. Here's something you might experience in spring. When the weather is warm for a while, then suddenly becomes cold for a few days, then gets warm again, we call this a cold snap. Cold snap. Cold snaps are common in spring, I think. Like the weather can't decide if it wants to stay in winter or finally move on into summer. Now, what about the sky? What words do we use to talk about that? Well, we use the word sunny, which you likely learned in a textbook or course. Did you learn not a cloud in the sky? Not a cloud in the sky? This is something we'd say if it's a very sunny day and there aren't any clouds anywhere. Beautiful day today, not a cloud in the sky. But if the clouds start rolling in, then it becomes partly cloudy. This is a very common phrase heard on weather channels. Partly cloudy skies today with a 20% chance of rain in the afternoon. If the clouds completely cover the sky, then it's cloudy or overcast. Cloudy days are very common in Kentucky winters when it's a bit rainy and the wind is icy. Days like that I describe as dreary because everything seems gray and just sad looking. Fortunately, there aren't too many dreary days in Florida, which is one reason why so many people like to live here. And if it rains a lot and the sky clears, you might just see a rainbow. These are not all the ways you can talk about weather, of course. Like I said, there's a lot of room for creativity, and there are common expressions that I didn't share because they aren't very polite for every audience. Then there's all the different weather phenomena we didn't talk about, such as thunderstorms, hurricanes, tornadoes, and blizzards. But those will be for another episode. There you have it. In this episode, I shared a variety of ways we talk about different weather conditions, from the sunniest of summer days to the dreariest of winter ones. Let me know on Instagram what your favorite weather is. Until next time, bye.